Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. Elizabeth Jane is a best-selling author, artist, and mental health thought leader known for her inspiring work helping others navigate the challenges of divorce and rediscovering their true selves. After enduring a difficult divorce after 25 years of marriage, Elizabeth transformed her personal journey of healing into her best-selling book, Free and First: Unlocking Your Ultimate Life, which has resonated with readers worldwide. Through her art, writing, and public speaking, Elizabeth empowers others to embrace life after hardship, guiding them towards joy, purpose, and personal transformation. Wow, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being on my show today. I'm so excited to talk with you.
Well, thanks, Gina. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and it's great to be here with your listeners and your viewers. Yes, from us, like I'm in Australia and where you're in California. It's just wonderful how we can connect so easily.
I know I'm talking to you from the future. That's amazing. Let's just go ahead and if you could just take us back to the pivotal moment when your 25-year marriage ended, and how did you begin to process the emotional and mental challenges that followed?
Yes, well, when it first happened, it was sort of it was a I was in total shock, Gina. I thought, oh no, this is, it's male menopause. My husband will be fine. I mean, we've been together, well, 30 years or 25 years. This couldn't be anything. It's just, we'll go away and have a holiday and it'll all be over, it'll all be better. But it wasn't. And I went on a roller coaster, Gina, of so many the emotions, from shock to total, victim mentality. What had I done wrong? How could this happen? So, and then anger and grief. I didn't let down the tires on the car or anything, but I went through every emotion. I think the whole textbook, all those dark emotions, I think I ticked the box on all of them. But then what I realized is that it the whole experience, I can now say, because it was a few years ago, it really absolutely changed my life for the better. And even I had lost myself. I had lost myself in my roles as a mother and as a wife. And when the children were adults and my relationship was over, that's why I just felt like, what was my reason for being? I really looked around me and I thought, well, where do I go from here? I felt so alone. I felt very, very vulnerable. And that's when, thank goodness, I started to journal and to surround myself with supportive people. And the journaling, I started to work out what was helping, the list of things that was helping, and the list of the things that were hurting. And I just tried to start choosing more of the things that were helping me to climb out of the dark place that I was in. And so then as I continued on with this, my tools became a bit more sophisticated, but very easy to implement. So the book came about. So it covers every tool that I utilized to get me to where I am today. So because like I think it's very hard to see when you're in that dark place, but that I really believe that most challenges, well, most, maybe all, are opportunities to personally grow. Like we can personally grow, and as we lift our vibe, or whatever word we want to use, our mood, well then that law of attraction, we tend to get more supportive people into our life, and the ones that are not so supportive, they tended to sort of dance out of my life. And I started to have better opportunities come into my life, more abundance, more joy, more of the good stuff. And so my tools in my book are how to get people uplifted into a better life, because life's too short, I think. And that's why being in Europe promoting my book as well, because it's a universal. Everyone's going through challenges. Particularly worldwide challenges are just they're just really so deep at the moment, aren't they? And everyone's got their own personal challenges. So this book hopefully will help uplift everyone.
Yeah, of course. Now, what has been the most rewarding feedback you've received from readers from your book, and how has your story helped others finding hope and healing?
Yes, well, I think it's just it started off organically with my girlfriends, so they were saying, that journaling you're doing, can you just sort of, text over a few of your pointers, your bullet points about how to feel good because I really need it today. And that's just how it's just organically has just grown. So, people who have read my book have, given me feedback and said how amazing it is and when's the next book coming. I'm actually working on children's books with the same concept about how to develop the self-confidence in children to be able to speak their truth and stand up for what bothers them. Like how we're all children, we all have to speak our truth and stand up for what bothers us. But I just think sometimes our self-confidence or our self-worth stops us in our tracks from standing up. So my book's got a whole chapter on self-care because we really need to follow through with getting what we want to lifting up into a better life. We need to make sure that our self-worth is and our self-confidence is really at a good level. Yeah.
That's right. Yes. And I had experienced divorce too. And yes, our little son was affected by it. It was in 20, I think we separated in 2014 or so. I was so empty inside. I didn't even know who I was because a lot of our relationship was based on alcohol, partying, drugs. And when he left, I was actually using a little bit more because I felt I didn't know, I didn't want to feel worse. And so I made myself I numbed myself, I should say, even more to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. And it's hard to talk about divorce. I think because I was very young at that age. I think I was in my probably late 20s, early 30s, I believe. Yeah. I know people think I look young, but I'm not. I'm not young. So I've experienced this, but it was hard to talk about because all my friends weren't married. So despite how common divorce is, you've actually pointed out that it isn't talked about openly. Why do you think that is, and how can society better support people going through divorce?
Yes, well, I think Jenny, you touched on a really important thing that is really about feeling numb. When you didn't want to sort of your alcohol and it could be anything though. Our busyness, our addictions of anything. It could be addiction to busyness or alcohol or sex or shopping, gambling. All these addictions, they take us away from feeling our feelings. And sometimes our feelings don't want to be felt. I mean, they can be scary. It can be really scary to feel our feelings. But I think an important thing in my book is that we unless we can stop and feel our feelings, we can't lift up because we can't let go of all those, we have to acknowledge our feelings to be able to move on, So um, yeah. So the second question you asked, sorry, I got a bit sidetracked there. So
Oh
what was the
no, yeah. So
yeah
just about why do you think that people are not talking about divorce, and how can society better support people going through it?
yeah? Well, divorce is such a common issue at the moment, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
so I think the thing is, I think people tend not to talk about it because they feel so vulnerable talking about it. They're already going through a really hard time, and to actually talk about it even more is just they just want to escape it, they just want to escape their feelings. And so how can we support people? I think the only way we can support people is about making sure that people feel supported and comfortable to talk about it. And because when we can feel our feelings, we can let them go. We can actually, they can actually be acknowledged, and we can process them, that's the great thing about hobbies. And you know hobbies actually, my painting and my writing has actually helped me to process my heavy emotions. But any hobbies that you can help you process your heavy emotions, and you feel a lot lighter. And so we start rising up like hot air balloons. We let drop those sacks of anger and non-forgiveness and all those grudges we have with the people in our lives. And then as we that's the only way to actually lift our mood and lift our vibe, I think. And so
Yeah.
I think people to talk about look, it's not for everyone. And like, if they can still process their feelings without you know doing a Gina podcast. We can there's so many different ways. I mean, I talk about it in my book, like just to exercise, going out for a walk in nature, or um, a yoga class, or whatever it is, even any taking up a hobby. I did a few podcasts on hobbies and how they really help with our mental health, in terms of not only are they bringing us joy, which is what we need if we were in the darkest place. In the early days, that's all I was, just looking for something that brought me joy. I'd have my list on the fridge, and I'd go there, like ring a friend, you know, go cut flowers in next door neighbor's garden. Just anything that brought me joy, I would focus on. Um, so yeah, so there's lots of tools and tips to lift up into a better place. And it depends where you're at on your journey, what tools you can implement, because sometimes it might be just as simple as, you know, as I said, just going for a walk in nature can make you feel better. Yes.
Yes, I remember I was walking around Lake Elizabeth. It's a beautiful Lake Elizabeth. Funny. It's a beautiful lake in Fremont, California. And I remember this lady, she was just painting the lake. And it was such a beautiful picture of her just painting and being out in nature, doing what she loves. And I know for you, art is healing for you. It's like a healing practice. And I know your work incorporates art and poetry. I wanted to ask you, how do these creative expressions actually intertwine your message of self-recovery and empowerment?
Yes, well, the paintings, I never know what I'm going to be painting. And my first 13 paintings, I was thinking, well, this is really random. I'm painting with watercolors, and then I'd be into oils, and then acrylics, and then I'd be jumping to abstracts, and then landscapes. And I was thinking, what these 13 paintings, is there any link? And then I realized that they all flew into the book and reinforced the tools in my book to uplift into a better place, to be able to overcome challenges. So as some people can get the tools and tips through the words, and others through the paintings, because the paintings in themselves deliver messages as to how to uplift. Yes.
Yeah.
So the paintings just organically grew, as did the poetry. The poetry used to well, I think, you mentioned have a piece of paper and a pen beside your bed, but I would just grab my phone and go into my notes, and often I would just prolifically write out a poem that had come to me in the middle of the night. so so I've actually make one of my poems is actually with a songwriter at the moment, about how to follow, what is it, follow your fun. It's about following the sun, or following your fun, and just tools, sort of yeah. So that'll be fun. I can't wait to see what happens with that.
Isn't it so cool that we actually get our information like in the middle of the night, just randomly, or just like a download, like all of a sudden we're like, oh, I need to write this down. And it's good to have. Like I've done many times where I've had like post-its, like even right here, like a little post-it of something I put, and then I'll just put it right on my mirror there as a reminder, like, yes, I need to pay attention to what came to my head. And it's just random information. And I think that's great. It comes from source, I think, directly. It's like, yes, this is part of our healing journey.
Yes, but not everyone gets that, like not
Yeah.
everyone gets. I think that that's the most important thing because, when people say, oh, you went to, a temple and I felt, wonderful. And everyone goes, oh, I just felt like normal. What do you mean? And I think the thing is we need to stop and slow down and get off that life hamster wheel to actually, like we're so busy. That's the problem because we're so busy with family and work. But if we can just take 10 minutes a day to sort of like hide somewhere, whatever you're doing, and if you can put your, get into nature. But
Mhm.
if we can, what happens is we are able to receive those messages. I mean, I don't hear things and see things, but you just sort of go, you get this aha moment on how to overcome a challenge or what you should do next, or um, but we can't get that. I don't think we can get those secret messages unless we actually stop. We really need to go, okay, stop and breathe. And, a big part of my book is talking about being in the present because what we often, most of us, I believe, including myself, of course, we get lost in our thoughts. We get lost in our thoughts, and our thoughts aren't always of a nice flavor, let's say. So they can be the past thoughts, oh, regretting the past, shaming, and the shame blame game, as I call it. If I if I get rid of this person, this A, B, and C in my life, then I'll be fine. But then what happens is you get another A, B, C come into your life. And the future thoughts, we're fatalizing about the future, but the future's fantasy. So often when I'm feeling bad, because apparently they say we have 60,000 thoughts a day. So how do we keep track of 60,000 thoughts? No idea. So, but our emotions are key because they tell us, I believe, that we either in the past or the future. And if we're feeling yuck, we're either in the past or the future. Come back into the now by being focused on our senses or our breathing, just anything to switch us back into the power of now, as Eckhart Tolle would say, with his book The Power of Now, which I love. Um,
Oh, yeah,
I
it's
don't know if you
beautiful.
probably read that, Gina. Have you read Power of Now?
No, but I do have a tattoo on my side here says be here now. It's a reminder for me to be here now because that's what we have. That's all we have is the present moment. That's all we know because this is all we feel and see and do. And I always tell everybody that sometimes I just take a look at my plant next to my computer and just observe it. If it's the window slightly open, I'll notice it swaying a little bit. I'll notice its coloring, its texturing, its smell. And it's just wonderful just to be in the present moment because there was so many times I had suffered anxiety. I was always worried, panicking, and I'd be future tripping or I'd be dwelling on the past. Like none of those exist. This moment here exists right now.
Exactly. Well, the past is spilt milk, as my grandmother
Yeah.
used to say. You
Love
can't
that.
worry about that. That's past. It's gone. It's gone. I hope you learned something. That's what it's all about, really. I think the past. It's you learn. You have memories, good joyful memories, and the ones that aren't so memorable. You hope you learn from. And so yeah, and also gratitude is a really good one that I love. More grateful we are about the things that are going right, then we get more things going right. I think we get more abundance coming in, the more we can be grateful for what we have. Even the simple things of just the air we breathe, like, we're so lucky to be here and to be able to enjoy nature and, the simple things for our loved ones and all that.
Yeah, I want
Yes.
to go to Australia though. I want to go to Australia. That's one place I have not been and I want to go.
On your list because it's such a diverse country. We've got every climate. We've got desert to it gets very cold. We have snow to desert.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it snows there.
Pardon?
I didn't know it
Yeah.
snows there.
Yes, yes. We can go skiing on baby mountains. They're very small compared to, in Europe. But we can go skiing. Yes, we have skiing
Wow.
there.
That's amazing. That's going to be on my list of things to do. Go to Australia.
Also,
Yes.
Great Barrier Reef is just lovely too, with all the coral. Yes, you'll have to come. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I notice when I travel, I tend to learn more about myself. And we're, I know we're talking about finding your authentic self. And for you, like after years of identifying as a wife and mother, how did you actually begin the process reconnecting to your authentic self? And I wanted to ask, what kind of advice would you go ahead and give to women who feel like they've lost themselves in their roles?
Yes, well, I think be kind to yourself. I think that's the thing that I want to say is baby steps. When you're in a really bad place, don't say, "Well, I just want to be out of this." And it takes time, and be patient with yourself. It might be one step forward and two back, but celebrate the step forward. Mountain climbers, they don't just go right to the peak, and they enjoy. We have to enjoy the journey. The journey's the what it's all about. And so yes, so be kind to yourself and have choose the it's choice points really, I think, Gina, like choice points. We wake up in the morning and we can choose things that help us or things that hurt us. Like I read a children's book once, and I was passing a shop window of a bookshop, and it said, "When things go wrong, go right. When things go, what was it? When things go wrong, go right. Just change your tune. Like choose something that won't pull you down. Whether it's letting go, it's boundaries, letting go of the people in your life, or whatever it is. It's important to look after you. Put yourself first is what the title of my book is. Put yourself first. Because I think in the back of our mind we think, oh, we have to put our children first, or we have to put our other people besides ourselves first, because otherwise that's selfish. But the reality is, unless we can lift us into a better place, well, then they're all getting our bad vibes. So when we lift us, our kids and our families and our friends get to surf on our high vibes. So I'd rather give them my high vibes. So if you can't do it for you, do it for your loved ones, do it for your children, do it for your parents, do it for your mates. And so that's
Yes.
another way, because we've got an in-ground thing. We have to put ourselves last if we're a parent. Like just put our kids first and put parents, but that I think that's we have to rewire that. Put ourselves first, like the flight attendants say on the plane. Put your mask on first before you help others, and then everyone benefits. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was going to say that it's so true. It's a form of self-love when you're putting yourself first, and everyone does benefit, like you were saying, because I notice when I'm happy in the household, everybody's happy in the household. The energy passes. Yeah. So when mom's happy, everyone's happy. So I make sure that I'm taking care of. I put my needs first, and then everyone else gets taken care of. So I've learned that it wasn't like that before. I was the people pleaser. I was the one volunteering constantly. I couldn't say no. And it really destroyed my soul. And now that I set boundaries and learn to say no,
Yeah,
people actually respect you a little bit more too. They're like, oh, okay.
yeah. Yes. No, I know it's a hard thing because I didn't know what a boundary was. I thought a boundary was like because I was sort of like I'm a bit older than you, Gina, and we didn't have all that at school. I think kids at school are sort of a bit more self-equipped perhaps these days. Um, and but I was a real learning curve for me. When it all sort of when the divorce happened. It was just really working hard, because when we're in our authentic self, when we can actually find ourselves, yes, the divorce, I had lost myself, but finding ourselves is just such a wonderful thing, because it's really just being your authentic self and being happy in your own skin. And then you sort of get into your superpowers, I feel. You really can go forth and embrace life in all its aspects. And that's when, we're in our powerful, true essence. Yeah. And not
Right.
like in our thoughts. That's when we get in. If I feel a negative thought, I just say, back of the bus. You're not me. You're not me. Out of my life. You're not
Yeah.
the true me. And it's not our true us. So I just always come back into the now and go, okay, no, that's not me. I'm going to just focus, as you said, on that pot plant over there, see what's happening with the pot plant. Anything to bring us into the now, any tools. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's like different voices that pop up. There's the inner critic, there's the inner child, there's the inner ego, and then there's the intuition. So I know when that inner critic comes, I'm like, not today, inner critic, not today. I'm not having it. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Well, because we have to be, as one of my teachers says, we have to be, we're the leader of our life, and we're the master of our mind. So yes, we, but often if the mind thinks it's going to rule, well, that's just not going to work. So
Oh my goodness, I really had to retrain my mind to start thinking differently when I was in my recovery. I was like, oh, these limiting beliefs need to go, because humans are resilient. And you've described yourself as living proof that it's possible to rebuild a life full of passion and purpose after we suffer from trauma. What are some key lessons you've actually learned about resilience, and how do you inspire others to cultivate that strength?
yes, so resilience, it doesn't happen overnight. You sort of don't wake up and you go, oh yes, I'm fit for anything now. It is a journey. It is a journey, and that's why I said before about we celebrate the steps forward, and 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 don't be kind to yourself when you do take a step back. Be kind to yourself, because if we go into that shame and that blame, and we're really tough on ourselves, well, what's that going to do? That's just going to pull us down further into more, more misery. And so it's just really choosing each day, waking up and being great. Gratitude's a great one. Gratitude. And just every day, just taking small steps, thinking, is this hurting me? Is this helping me? And if we can just keep it simplified like that, we can really uplift quite quickly. The only thing is, I have a tool in my book. It's called the ABC of Me. And it's about A, for acknowledging, allowing, and accepting our feelings. So we have to stop to do that. And B is the boundaries, setting boundaries, and C is the communication of the boundaries. But we're not going to do the ABC if we're not feeling good about ourselves, because we're not going to stand up for what bothers us, are we? I mean, I wouldn't, like it's sort of, I was a people pleaser. I think you mentioned you're a people pleaser. You just want to keep everyone happy. And so you put yourself second place, and you wouldn't speak up because you think, oh, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't really need to talk about what's bothering me. Surely it will just sort of move away somewhere. But all that we don't talk about builds up in us, and all those anxious, the anxiety, or the sadness, or the anger. It as an energetic being, we need to be able to move it on. We need to be able to move that energy on. And toddlers do it well. Little 2-year-olds have a little tantrum, and bang their legs and their arms around, and they're moving energy. They're moving that anger and they're moving that sadness, that frustration through their bodies. But we often go, oh, no, we can't be sad, we can't be angry. And it gets stuck within us. And that's not good for our mental health. It's not good for our physical health. So we really need to find ways to stop, get out of that life hamster wheel so as we can process those feelings, so we can really look at them and acknowledge them. So then once we can say, hey, anger, I see you, and channel that anger into some other energy. We're transmuting that anger energy into another form of energy. So it's remarkable what we can do, but we really need to stop. I feel to feel these feelings, like what is it? Oh, if unless we feel our feelings, we're at a loss to let those emotions, those heavy emotions that weigh us down, pass on. Charlie Chapman in my book, he's quoted as saying, oh, the problem with humanity is we feel too little and we think too much. And I think the more we can stop and feel how we feel, our superpowers of our emotions will help us get into a better place. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And Charlie Chaplin, he did a lot of films in Fremont and Niles. I remember where Lake Elizabeth is and close by there. And we have because I'm from Fremont, but I live in San Jose. We have a what's called the Niles. It's like an antique like strip, and then Charlie Chaplin did a lot of his filming there, and it would just we have like murals and paintings and sculptures of him there, so it's so cool.
I
That's
think
it.
he met I think he met Einstein. It was interesting because I Googled it. I wanted to know because Einstein's mentioned in my book, and so is Charlie Chaplin. I was thinking, wonder if these two characters met.
Oh
And they
wow.
did, apparently they met. I mean, through whether the Google's truth or not, I'm not quite sure. But, because I think Einstein would say, we can't solve, I think in his own words, I'm not quoting his words, but he said, we can't solve our problems unless we lift up out to a different understanding, lift up our consciousness, and then we get this aha moment. Oh, well, we can solve our problems through talking to someone, or we come up with creative solutions. So, Einstein I thought he was always an E equals MC squared man, like he was famous for that. But he was also, very aware of how, the energy around us and how we are energetic beings, and how we have to connect to everything.
Yeah.
Everything, all energy around us. Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and speaking about like support systems, you've mentioned the importance of having the love and support of others during recovery. Now, how did your support system help you, and what advice would you give to people seeking or building their own support networks?
Yeah, so support networks can be as simple as calling in the friends that support you. Everyone, we have to be discerning here. Some friends are, like if you're recovering from being, an alcoholic, well, of course, you don't really want to hang with the ones that are going to drive you to drink because, it's an obvious thing, isn't it? But any supportive friends that are uplifting, hang with them more, like just really call in the people, and then also look at things that bring you joy, because it may be sharing a hobby. It could be as simple as chess, or whatever it is. It can be a random thing. It doesn't really matter. But if you can find something that brings you joy, well, then you'll meet people who also share joy. You'll meet people of like mind, and start making friends in different areas. And those things that bring you joy, just to follow on from there, they can become side hustles. You can be doing a little bit here and there, sprinkling those things into your life, those hobbies, so-called hobbies, into your life, and then they may become more. You may become more of a focus in your life. The famous photographers, and there's so many examples of people who started as a side hustle, a hobby that became very lucrative for them, and not only brought them joy but also brought them abundance in the end. So I think just making sure you've always it's you're a free choice, and it's really up to you. No one else can actually make that decision for you. Just keep choosing what's helping and not what's hurting. I think it's just an
Yes.
easy way of really breaking it down, because when you're going through a lot, you don't want a lot of rules. I didn't want a lot of rules because I was in a like when you're really in a dark place, you can't handle much. I couldn't. And you just want to keep your day simple, just to get through the next hour, the next few minutes, the next hour. So have tools at hand that will lift you. Is very important. I feel.
Yes, you're absolutely right. During my recovery, I remember I had to say goodbye to those drinking buddies, and then I had to hang around people that I want to be like. Who does Gina want to be like? Who inspires Gina? Who encourages Gina? And I did. And I just noticed I was becoming more like them. Like I got a mentor right away and I wanted to be like her. And she taught me so many different things. And so it is important who you surround yourself with in your recovery, and support networks are important. I had also, we're talking about side hustles, right? I was in a what is network marketing groups, and it was fun. I got healthy, I got fit, and I met other people, and we were just having fun. We would travel together, and not everyone is a drinker. So it's okay. You'll have to find your sober tribe. These mine, you can find them at Meetup. I found mine through like network marketing, sober retreats. There's different places you can go to. So really you have to align yourself to who you want to become, and then just be and do and have fun with it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, like I just find, without alcohol, you get a natural high. Like once you're connecting to the now, you get sprinkled with natural high anyway. When we're connecting to our true self, we're not sort of lost with in our thoughts, which often bring us de-energize us. If we come back into the now, we just get powered up. It's a bit like charging your mobile phone. I wouldn't go a day without doing something, like doing a 20-minute meditation for me, or that's how I start my day. But it can be a meditation, doesn't have to be like a yogi position. It can be anything that's, I think, in that keeps you fully present. Like whether it is a yoga class, but it could be just a walk in a park, or a surf on the sea, in the ocean.
Mm.
That really keeps you sort of really present too. But everyone can
Yes.
find their own hobby. A hobby keeps you present because you're focusing. Like if you're baking a cake, it's very hard to do your to-do list and to think about what you could have done in the past. You're focusing on creating a cake or whatever, any creative activity keeps you fully present. So whether you like it or not, you're sort of meditating in a way. No?
Yes, everyone thinks that they have to be in lotus position doing ums all day to meditate. But like I said, meditation can even just observing that plant next to my computer and noticing it. And taking walks are great. Just even stepping away from your desk and taking a deep breath. Journaling also is a form of meditation. Listening to a song, that anything that gets your mind away from all that extra noise that you don't want there, is meditation.
Yes, yes. I know, I know. I think more and more people are well, a lot of people are under the pumps at the moment, but I think that they're realizing that if they do take that time out to to feel how they feel, then they free themselves. I mean, it's it's it is sort of quite simple, but it takes a lot to get out of your mind. Like your mind's very persistent. Oh well, mine was. I mean, you've talked about yours, but it comes at you, and it tries to sabotage. It tries to self-sabotage you all the time. So, often, you just can't listen to it when it gets too negative, because I just know that if it's negative, it's not me.
That's right. That's right. It's not me. It's not me. Now, Elizabeth, is there any future projects? I know you were mentioning some children's book, but what's next for you?
Yes, so I've got a children's book on the go, with a family of koalas, and they're not very happy koalas because they're living in the city, and father koala's working very hard, mother koala's very busy in the house, and the child koala's working very hard to impress the parents. And anyway, so the a kookaburra comes and taps on the window and says, "Oh, why is everyone so? How much can a koala bear? Why is everyone so sad? Why is everyone so grumpy?" And so eventually, the koala family move into the country with the eucalypts, and it sort of works through a few different ideas about how kids can actually stand up for themselves. And yeah, so and then I've got another book about the Australian animals, animating the Australian animals. So bringing to life. So I've painted all the Australian animals, the echidnas and the platypuses, and it's a rhyming book. So because kids love to think that they're reading, I think because I was a primary school teacher and had 4 kids, and I think they like to own their book, and if it rhymes, it's sort of easier. They can read it, and or they think that they're reading it. And so it's a rhyming one. So my podcast interviews. I hope one day to have. I hold the vision, Gina, to have healing centres around the world, where people can go to cleanse themselves of all that's not working, and really uplift into more joy, more peace. Just to into their true, authentic self, into their powerful self. We once we can all step into our power, it'll be, the world will be a totally different place, and hopefully that's already unfolding. It's, got a few birthing issues at the moment, birthing, but I still believe we're birthing a new world where with more joy, more peace. Yeah.
Yes, the world is changing by doing interviews like this, having you put out books like yours, so the world is changing, and I'm just so grateful to have you on my show today. But if our listeners want to go ahead and connect with you, how can they do so?
Yes, so the best way is to jump on my website, elizabethjane.com, and we have .au for Australia. So it's elizabethjane.com.au, and my book, Free and First, Unlocking Your Ultimate Life. I'm about to do a second edition. So the cover will change. Nothing too much more. The cover, and I've just put in a couple of different things. And yes, I'll have a few more books on the go, and more paintings, and hopefully healing centers to come in the near future. So just you can follow my Instagram, elizabethjane.life, LIFE, where all my interviews and all my podcasts are thrown onto my Instagram. Yes.
Beautiful. And would you like to leave our listeners with any last words or thoughts?
Yes, just be you and do you well. That's in one of my poems. But be you and do you well. Stand up for what bothers you, and don't do anything for the approval of others. Follow your joy. Follow your joy, and be you and do you well.
I love that. I'm gonna write that one down and post it. I love that. Post it on my mirror. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being on my show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Gina. Anytime.
Thank
Have a
you.